we had one NBA news item that I wanted to discuss. The Cavs finally extended Isaac Okoro, 3 years, $38 million contract with no options, team or player. The reason I wanted to talk about this random kind of mid-level role player getting his extension in September is actually because I like Isaac Okoro in terms of the caliber of player as a good comp for Christian Brown. And Christian Brown is projected to be the Nuggets' fifth starter. He's going to be the fifth starter on a starting lineup that has four much higher usage guys, similar to Isaac Okoro, playing next to Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley. And I found it interesting that obviously he enters restricted free agency, which isn't the most common because it's not a fun process really for either side, because the team basically has the option to match any offer that the restricted free agent, in this case, Okora, would get. But throughout the summer, there weren't even like rumors of other teams that would be interested in signing Okoro. We saw a couple of different restricted free agents last year go out and like get an offer from another team, and then often their like home team would just match that to keep them and retain that asset. But this year there weren't a ton of those, and in Okoro's case, there weren't even rumors of other teams being interested. We know that last summer, Austin Reeves was a prominent restricted free agent that the Lakers kind of went out and said, like, we're going to match anything that anyone gives them. So no one even, they kind of tried to scare anyone off from even giving them that offer sheet because it would have tied up cap space, right? I'm actually curious about, maybe what the implications of the new CBA might be in this particular, not just the signing, but like how it went and how that they had this drawn out process despite no seeming interest from, outside teams. Lucas, you cover the Nets, and they're a team that is projected to have a monstrous amount of cap space next summer. They might end up being the most important players in free agency next year as a result. Based on what you know about the Nets, what caliber of players do you think they're going to be going after next year? And is there any chance that they would be the kind of team that would give a big offer to young restricted free agents that are, going after their first big extension off of their rookie scale contract?
Yeah, well, it's a full circle moment for the Nets because for those who remember, that was their strategy when the Sean Marks regime first took over, giving poison pill contract offers to Alan
Mhm.
Crabb, Tyler Johnson, both of who later ended up in Brooklyn, as a way to take shots on guys, but also to sort of hamstring other teams in the cap space department. And that's where the new CBA does come in. I'm not sure that that's going to be an avenue that's explored as aggressively as they did in the past. The other thing is that they now have draft picks,
Mm.
which they didn't have during those off seasons. So there was a huge, avenue to talent acquisition that was closed for them that is now open. To answer your question, I it's there's the Jimmy Butler rumors floating about. They have this max slot. Who knows where they're going to be in the draft? I think that you won't see what we saw from them, 6, 7 years ago being that aggressive. But if there is an RFA that they like, I wouldn't be surprised to see them go after it, especially if they don't have a season that lands them the number one pick, that really pushes along the development of some guys that they consider their core. You know, they're going to have the Cam Thomas decision coming up at the end of this
Right.
season, which is as or more important than anything they could do in restricted free agency. So I would say that they are going to need to decide on what the next steps of the rebuild look like. But if it's not, okay, let's get Cooper Flag and then try to attract free agents and like go for it now, which I don't think that's super likely, then yeah, you're going to see them be players and try to acquire the type of talent that they are already, like Zaire Williams, Killian Hayes,
Mm.
Keon Johnson, reclamation projects in a
Right.
sense, which
Taking flyers on some
exactly. And because
reclamation project.
RFA comes up, 3, 4 years into a player's career, that timeline matches up.
Right. I find it interesting that there aren't it's not a popular strategy to acquire young kind of
Mhm.
risk on the upside talent through restricted free agency because those are also young players. And like you're saying, the Nets kind of used to do that when they didn't have draft capital, which is the other
Mhm.
way that you acquire young talent. We were actually talking about on this show being worried about the Nets as a potential suitor for Jamal Murray should he have entered unrestricted free agency next summer. And you mentioned Jimmy Butler as someone who's been in rumors, maybe put himself in those rumors because I think the rumors were like Jimmy Butler might be interested in Brooklyn, like he likes Brooklyn as a place.
Maybe he and his agent Bernie Lee know where their mouths are gonna be fed, put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that Isaac Okoro's agents, did a good job of maybe putting themselves in some rumors this summer,
Well, it's
but
funny because
yeah.
just after he signed, you heard, "Oh, the Nets were a team that maybe had things gone differently, would have been interested," and that does make sense for, both
Right.
parties. But, yeah, the Jamal Murray, as you mentioned, is also a very Nets thing to do on the other side of the coin.
Yeah. I wonder, as somebody who does cover the Nets, are you when you say it's a very Nets thing to do, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Not a great thing, I would say. I think it's maybe telling that the Jimmy Butler camp knows who would max a 35, 36-year-old Jimmy
Mm.
Butler for 4 years. That's all I'll say about that.
Well, we're glad to hear that, the Nets not a potential suitor for Jamal Murray because he got his contract extension, this past week. For everyone listening, over half of you are not subscribed. So if you do like our content, please remember to subscribe. And then always remember that winning is fun and losing sucks.